Hi, I'm Eric Gillespie. I'm an instructor at Michigan State University and a tech advocate in the Lansing, Michigan area. Today I'm going to explain a pretty simple way to create a website that's pretty nice looking and informational. And all it requires is a little bit of knowledge about Markdown. If you're unfamiliar with Markdown, I recommend checking out GitHub's Markdown guide, and I'll provide a link with that in the website that I'm providing with this little tutorial. So to begin with, assume you have a Markdown file, and in order to get started, let's make a couple of quick changes. The first, I recommend giving your Markdown a simple name like index.md or home.md to indicate that it's going to be the main file to show up on the front page of your website. I'm using VS Code, but you can use any file explorer or even a terminal to rename the file. Right now I'm going to rename markdownonlywebsite.md to index.md. And while we have a text editor open, let's go ahead and add a few lines here. These lines start with 3 hyphens in a row at the very top of the file, and then we're going to add 3 attributes. The first is called title, so we'll type title, colon, and then between quotes, we'll type the title we want for our website. Make a website with only Markdown. On the next line, we'll add a permalink attribute, and this is where on our website this file is going to be presented. Use a slash to indicate that the file is going to appear at the root of the website. And then the third attribute is called layout. And this is the default template for any theme that you can use on GitHub pages, and I'll provide a little bit more information about that in just a moment. And then close off this section with 3 more hyphens. This whole section you see here between these 3 hyphens is called front matter. This is part of something called Jekyll, and it's what we're going to use to turn Markdown into a website on GitHub. Make sure to save these changes. The next step is to open a tab and create a new account on GitHub if you don't already have one. They're free. And then, using the plus icon at the top right of the screen, create a new repository. You'll be taken to a new page where you can enter a repository name. So I'm going to call mine Markdown Only Website, separated by hyphens. And then the only other thing we need to do is make sure that public is checked, which right now is the default option when you're creating a repository on GitHub. Press Create Repository. And this is where we can start putting our Markdown file and turning it into a website. Near the middle of the page, there's a link to uploading an existing file. Let's go ahead and click that, and then click the link Choose Your Files, and choose the name of the Markdown file that's saved on our computer. Once that's selected, press the Commit Changes button. This will upload the Markdown file. And if we click this on GitHub, we can already see that GitHub already has a little bit of knowledge of how to turn Markdown into something that's a little bit more presentable in a web browser. Alright, so the next step is to click on Settings on a repository. Scroll down almost all the way to the bottom to the section named GitHub Pages. GitHub Pages is the tool that we're going to use to turn a Markdown file into a website. First, we have to choose a source. The default branch in GitHub repository is master. Let's go ahead and choose master branch as the source, because that's right now where our Markdown file is located. If it scrolls you back up to the top, go back down to the GitHub Pages section in your settings, and then click Choose a Theme. GitHub provides about a dozen different themes that you can use for your website, from Cayman, Slate, Merlot, Time Machine, Minimal, Leap Day, and you can use this carousel to see some more. If you click on one, it won't automatically select it. It'll instead show you a preview. So you can pick one that you like. And I think I'm the biggest fan of the Slate theme. So I am going to choose Slate and then press the green Select Theme button. All right, now if we scroll down a little bit, we can see that we have some new options. However, the most exciting thing here is that we have this message, your site is ready to be published at, and then it provides a URL. This is actually the URL of our website. If we click this, now we see that the Markdown file that we uploaded is now presented on our very own website, and it's using the Slate style. You can see that it uses the name of the file. Markdown only website is the title for the whole website, and then it takes all of the pieces of the Markdown file and actually renders them instead of showing just the text. So anywhere that I was using headings, it shows in nice big letters, make a website with only Markdown, and then all of the different steps that I'm walking through right now. All right, and that brings us to the final piece. So GitHub does provide a unique URL for each website that we create like this. However, it is possible to also use your own domain. I don't have one of these prepared right now, so I'm just going to explain how it works. So on GitHub, go back to our settings page and scroll down to the GitHub Pages section. There's now a new section called Custom Domain, and we can type in a value here. So if I owned the domain name www.ericgillespie.com, I could enter that here, press save. That's the first step. The second step would be to go to a domain registrar wherever I bought my domain, ericgillespie.com, and I would go into the DNS settings and create a cname record. DNS has always been one of those things that's a little confusing to me, but basically you just need to create at a minimum one record that's called a cname, and you type in www or sometimes www dot and then whatever the rest of your domain is, www.ericgillespie.com for example. And then you would point that to whatever your GitHub username is, .github.io. And the change that we added on GitHub settings to associate our domain name with the GitHub Pages site and that DNS change that we just made are the two pieces that we need to bring together in order to actually view this site on our own domain. So if you ever want to create a really quick, this didn't take any more than 5 minutes, I think. Really quick, nice looking website that's purely informational using Markdown and no other working knowledge of HTML, CSS, or JavaScript. This is a really great place to do it. All right, if you want to learn more, this feature is called GitHub Pages. If you go to pages.github.com, then you can learn a whole lot more about this because it's a lot more complicated than I've just demonstrated here. But you can create your own themes, you can use HTML, you can use CSS, you can use client-side JavaScript, and there are ways that you can use certain Ruby technologies as well in order to automatically add things like social media tags and stuff like that to a website. That gets pretty complicated pretty quick, but if you have a little bit of familiarity with the web, HTML, JavaScript, CSS, or even Ruby, it would be a great next step. There's great documentation out there as well. And then if you really want to get into the weeds, you can actually learn about the underlying technology for GitHub Pages, which is called Jekyll. and you can learn that at jekyllrb.com. I hope this is helpful, and if you have any questions or I said anything wrong, feel free to reach out to me at eric.gillespie@gmail.com. Bye-bye.